Okay, wanted to do a second video on creating this wooden floor, and we can take it to another level. So let's get started. Okay, so in the last video, this is where we left off. So we've got our wooden base color, we've got a roughness map, and we've got a normal map. Now, I wanted to show you the difference. So let's get in a little bit closer here. And I'm going to go in here and I'm going to turn off my base color and the roughness so we can just see the bump. So here's the bump with our normal node in here. And then I'm going to pull out and show you the bump without the normal node. So we can still see the bump in here, but you can see that it's not interpreting it correctly because the bump slot by default is using black and white. And so we have to have this normal map node in here. Otherwise it doesn't interpolate it correctly. So be sure to put this normal map node in. I think I told some students they could take it out. But after I did tests, it's definitely still needs to be in here to work properly. Okay. Now, one of the things I would do is also, and I'm going to put this roughness in the diffuse slot just for a second so we can see it by itself. And one of the things that I think is an issue right now with the normal map and the roughness is they're both a little sharp. And if you get them too sharp, they'll crawl a little bit if we're doing animation. So we want to blur them a little bit. So let's see about blurring these. Okay, so I opened these up in Photoshop. And you'll see it's pretty crispy in here. So I'm just going to make a copy of this right now. And we're going to put a blur on this. So we're going to go up here to blur. And we're going to use a Gaussian blur. And you can see if I blur it too much, it just destroys it. Okay, and there's with no blur on it. You want to turn this preview so we can see if, see what's actually happening. And okay, so there's before and there's after. I'm still getting all of the information. It's just not going to be as sharp on there. So maybe let's try 0.5. Yeah, that 0.5 looks pretty good. So there's a before and after. Okay, and then we'll do the same thing here, and we can just go filter and just run the same blur on it, which will soften that. So then I'm going to save these out, and I'll export these back to their folder, and we'll just overwrite the old ones. Okay. Then we'll just want to reload these. And I can double check hitting my view image. And then you can see these have been blurred. They're not sharp as they were. Okay, so I'm going to put this back into our roughness slot. And let's go ahead and turn the bump back on. And so now it's softened that bump a little bit, and that's going to read better and not crawl quite as much. So that's the first thing I would do. And now we can put this all back on. All right, but now some other issues that are bothering me with this is this this wood is way too orange for me. Okay, so I think what I want to do is desaturate it some. Now I could take the bitmap back into Photoshop and desaturate it, but we can do it in here. So we can just put us a node in here to desaturate. So I'm going to right click. I'm going to go to maps. I'm going to use Max's general maps, and we're going to use this color correction node. So we'll just plug our wood, our base color into that, and then plug it back in. And right off the bat, it's not going to affect it any in our viewport because I haven't done anything to it yet. It's just going through this. So we have different things we can do. We could do color shifts in here. I don't want to do color shifts. But anyway, this node allows you to do color shifts, adjust brightness and such. And what we're going to use it for is just to desaturate. So right here you have a saturation. So when I pull this to the left, it's going to pull some of the color out there. Now I could pull it way over and it's going to turn, you know, kind of like black and white. I don't want to do that, but I just want to pull it down a little bit so that I'm desaturating that wood a little bit so it looks more natural to me. Okay, that works pretty good. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to age this wood like there's some dirt in here. And so to do that, we're going to need some kind of a map that we're going to go in here. So we're going to go over to Google and let's do a search for a map. Okay, so let's do a search for grunge texture. Now I'm not going to do a tileable texture, and we're going to manipulate it. All right, so we come in here, do our search. We're going to tools, only get large ones, and we want Creative Commons. And what we're looking for is something to put a nice kind of a pattern on it. And I think the one I like is maybe this one here. I think this will work. So I'm just going to right click on this, and we're just going to copy this image. I'm going to go ahead and copy it because I'm going to manipulate it in Photoshop. And so let's go back over to Photoshop. Okay, so file new, it'll automatically adjust the size to what my image was, and then I'll paste it on here. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to make this tileable. Okay, I'm going to leave it as a rectangle, but I'm going to make it tileable. So the first thing we need to do is we need to go to image size to see what the size of it is. And so we'll switch this to pixels, and you'll see it's 1024 by 769. Now I'm going to run a offset filter on this, and it's easier if I have even numbers. And so the 1024 is 5, but I want to I don't want it to be 769. So I'm going to unlock this so that it only changes, that it doesn't lock these proportions together. And I'm going to change this to 768 so it's an even number. Okay. Okay, so what I did was I wrote those numbers down in Notepad so that I don't forget them. So, and then I need to divide these by 2. So you want to divide them by 2. And a 1024 will be 512. And so then we want to divide the 768 by 2. And it'd be easier if I just get a calculator. 768 divided by 2. Okay, it's going to be 384. So that's our magic numbers. 384 and 512. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to go to filter. We're going to go down here to other and offset. And this will allow me to offset the image. Okay, what it's going to do is move the image left and right. So if I start doing this, it's moving the image left and right. And now I want it to be halfway, so the seam that was on the edge comes right down the middle. Okay, so this was 512, and this one is 384. And then what this has done is moved the edges to the center, and now I'll be able to get rid of this seam. Okay, I'm going to do it on a copy. Lots of ways you can do this, but one way is to go in here and just do a selection. I'm going to select a little bit out over the top of this. And then over here where we're having our spot healing, there's a patch tool. So I can move this selection. So as I click and start to move it, I'm going to hold down the shift key so it goes perfectly horizontal. And I'll move it out here, and then it's going to copy those pixels and put them in there. Control D to deselect. I'll come in here. Let's do it on this horizontal one as well. And you want to start moving it and then hold down the shift and Control D. I don't like that little light area in there. Let's, I think what I want to do is I'm going to copy this. So I'm going to select it, and under feather right up here, I'm going to say, about 20 pixels. And then I'm going to copy this, and then I'm going to paste it back on. And then I'm going to drag this down. I don't like how that didn't feather very well. Maybe I need it to be more. Let's go like 40. I don't want it to be too soft. And yeah, there we go. And then pull that down. Now I can do some other things in here too. I'll go ahead and merge these two together. I still don't like that line that's there. So okay, I'm going to copy that, paste it. I like that better. There's that. And then I can just use the healing brush. I don't like this repeating pattern here. Overall, this looks okay. I'm not going to be using this as a straight pattern. We're going to use it as a stain. I think another thing I may do is try to make it a little bit sharper. So I'm going to put the levels on here and bleach the white out a little bit and bring the darkness in a little bit. Just add a little bit more contrast to it. Something like that's probably fine. Okay, and then I'm going to save this out. So let's just save this out as a PNG, and we're going to call this a dirt. So it's going to be our dirt map. Beautiful thing about this too is when you generate these kind of maps, you can put them in a folder, and you can, over time you save a bunch of them, and then you can use them over and over again. Okay, let's go back over to Max, and then let's go ahead and just bring that in. So bitmap, and we'll bring that dirt map in. All right, now, just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to go ahead and put this in our base color so we'll see it out here. And then what I'm going to do is we're going to put another mapping coordinate out here. Now, for right now, I'm going to go ahead and just hide our lights so they're out of our way. Okay, so this map is a different shape than our wood. Our wood was square. This is a rectangle, so we need its own mapping coordinate. So I'm going to go in here. I've got the base UVW map. I'm going to rename this. I'm going to call this UVW map wood. This let me know this is for the wood. And then I'm going to copy this and paste it back on. And I'm going to rename this one. And I'm going to call this one dirt. So this map's going to control this dirt, and this map's going to control the wood. Now, another thing I would encourage you when you're stacking your maps like this, it doesn't matter which one's on top. It doesn't make any difference. That's not a factor. This wood is using map channel 1. Okay, we can do multiple channels in here. So what I'm going to do is rename this and just put a 1 back behind it, and I know that's channel 1. And then on this dirt, I'm going to change this to 2. And then I'm going to change this to 2, so I know it's channel 2. Now, since that's on channel 2, I've got to change this to be on channel 2. So your bitmap has a channel, and I'm going to change this to 2 so that this one lines with this one, so this dirt will control this map. So I'm going to put 2 on this. All right, the next thing I also need to do is I need to adjust this proportions of this map to match this, because right now it's square. So we're going to go to our bitmap fit just like we had on our wood before, and I'm going to pick it, and then it's going to readjust its map so that it's a proportional. So at this point now I can go to the gizmo and I can scale this down to get it the size that I want. Okay. Another thing about this is we made this titleable. I can do other things if I want to also, and I can rotate this. Now, I really didn't want to do that to the wood floor because the wood floor needs to run parallel and perpendicular, but the dirt could run at an angle. Okay. So you have more options you can deal with this. All right. So what we're going to do here is we're going to combine these together. Okay. So we're going to unplug this. All right, we're going to get another node out here. What we want, and we're going to do a search over here, is a composite node. So type in composite. Actually, we just want to type in comp. Let's just do comp, and I'll show you why. And then we can show different kinds of different nodes that come out. And the reason I'm doing this, I already know I want a composite, but I just wanted to show you that when you do your search, it doesn't matter whether it's an OSL, see how these say OSLs, or they're Max's native general, you'll see they show here, or the Arnold ones. Okay. So if I do composite, then I can either do a general one or an OSL one. Now, I personally like the general one better, but Arnold doesn't completely support this. This is to me a nicer constructed node, because what I can do is add as many layers onto this as I want, or I can delete them off of here too. Okay, so I like this node, but Arnold doesn't like this node. I can still use it, but it won't show up my viewport. Now this composite node is an OSL, and Arnold likes OSL nodes, so we're going to use this one. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to plug our dirt into the bottom layer. So we have 2 layers on this node. So we have a top layer and a bottom layer. So we're going to put the wood on the bottom layer, and then we're going to go ahead and plug that, the outs back into our base color. Now it's going to show up as gray because on this top layer I have gray. So I need to set this alpha to 0. That's our blend. And then now I'm seeing the wood. Okay. So we're laying this layer on top of this layer, but we're saying to be 0 transparent so we don't see anything. And then what we're going to do is we're going to plug this dirt map into the top layer. Okay, and then I'll turn this back to 1, and then so that's what we're going to see is this. Now you have blending modes in here, and they're the same thing as the blending modes in Photoshop. In Photoshop, when we have layers, we have blending modes here where we have different ways we can blend these together, and Max has that too. So what we're going to do is do a multiply, and then what it's going to do, a multiply basically turns the white to transparent and the black opaque. And so now all I'm doing is seeing that on top of it. But this is, too dirty of a floor. We don't need the floor to be that dirty. We just want to add a little bit of dirt on it. So what we're going to do is start turning down this amount. Okay. And according to what kind of display card, as you turn this down, it may update in here, or you may have to click in here and rotate a little bit to get it to update. Okay, I like something about like that. Maybe a little bit more. Let's try maybe a 0.7. And then we can see some of that dirt in there. I think that's too much. Let's go for 6. 6. So we want it to be subtle in here, but this is a way to get a little bit more believability to our maps by layering them up. And of course I could layer on top of this layer as well. We could put another node of this and plug it through and layer on top of that, so we could put a second map or a third map in there. Okay, so the purpose of showing you all this is how that inside of your 3D software, you can layer up your texture nodes, your maps, to get a look that's a little bit more visceral. Also, there's a tool right here I use all the time. It's called Move Children, and what this does is when I grab a parent, it'll move the children along with it, and that's an advantage when I'm moving things around. Okay, that's what I got. Hope that helps you. So now we've got a nice wood. We've desaturated it. We've added a little dirt on top of it. We've got a nice roughness map. We've got a nice bump map. And so that's the process that you're going to be going through. So I did a wood floor. You're going to be designing your own, having to deal with either concept art or designing your own stuff. And so you may not be using wood floors. I'm not really showing you how to do a wood floor. I'm just showing you how to create a node structure where you have control, where you'll always have a base color. We'll always need a roughness map. We're going to always need some form of a bump like a normal map. And then, you know, to make things look more believable, we want to dirty them up a little bit. You know, now for some concept or whatever, we may dirty them up a lot. For other ones, we dirty up a little bit. I mean, the world I work in is for marketing firms, and they want things to look pristine and brand new. But even those, if you do it too pristine and brand new, then they look digital. So even on those, I dirty them up a little bit. Not enough that the client can tell they're dirty, but just enough that they give a more believable feel to it. Okay, hopefully that helps you. Thank you very much.